We finally got more attractive here on BarnBurner Live. She's from CSM, Victoria Femia. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. All right, so I mentioned CSM, which, by the way, you can see on the BarnBurner TV Network, channel 251. You just had a show. You just had a show.
Just did. I did a few hours ago.
Now, do you know how famous you are? 2 times on a TV network.
It's crazy. I feel so special right now. I feel like people want to watch me now.
Why shouldn't they, right?
Right? That's what I'm thinking.
Why shouldn't they? All right, so take me through, first of all, like I said, College of Sports Media here in Toronto. Why did you choose College of Sports Media, and what's your ultimate goal, I guess?
You know, initially, so I was in school prior to CSM. I was at York University, and then I went to Humber, and I was doing like business stuff. I was doing marketing, and then none of it was working out. I found CSM because I've always wanted to do something in media, right? But I never found the school. Made it there. They accepted me, and now I love it. My dream initially was to be on air, right? Now my ultimate, I guess, media dream is to be a television director. I love it. Directing is amazing.
So you don't want to be on air, you want to be directing it?
Well, listen, I do. Listen, if I can get an on-air job, I'm all in, right? But directing is, I love it. I'm still back and forth between on-air and directing. So it's a little bit tough for me.
Hold on here. Eduardo Harari, who's our producer, he's director and all that. He's going to be, if I could look at you instead of him every day, come on, he could be replaced like this, all right?
Hey, I'm in.
So let me ask you this. In the College of Sports Media, we know some people within the media, Faisal Kamiza, Daniel Micho, Kayla Gray, all have successful careers because of the College of Sports Media, but we don't hear about producers or directors. When you went to the school, did you tell whoever the teachers are, I actually like to be a producer director, and they focus more on that?
Well, no, because initially, like when I first went to the school, like my head was set on being on an anchor on the desk. That was the only thing I really wanted, or reporting, of course. So initially I told like administration, everything. I said, I just want to be on air, I want to be on TV. And then it was actually my second year. So this year with CSM, I started doing directing a little bit more, and I love it. Like I just completely fell in love with it. I love being in the heart of it all, just behind the scenes, doing everything. I love it.
So for people, you know, I've been in the industry 30 years, I'm old, but why, like, what's the love? People want to be, like you said, on air and in center or whatever, but you have a unique love. What's the love for you regarding directing as opposed to being on air on the desk?
So my thing is, I like when I have like a vision of how I want something to look, and I like to be able to make that happen. And I find with directing, you have more leeway to do that. Because, you know, with being on air, it's like they tell you, okay, do this, say like, oh, more or less, it's like they're kind of telling, I guess, advising you of how to do certain things. But with directing, I find I have more of, I guess, a leadership kind of position and that kind of role to make something look and go about of how I would like it to happen.
All right, so let's talk. I'm going to put you on the desk here, okay? And you tell me if I'm directing, steering the ship the right way, okay? We'll first start with the NBA. Okay. What team do you like? Let's put it that way.
Well, of course, the Toronto Raptors. Where are we right now? I like the Toronto Raptors. Okay.
Okay. So you're like, okay, Toronto Raptors, but do you like Drake? That's a big question.
I love Drake. He's
really?
Great. How could you not? I mean, he's so talented. He seems like a funny guy. How could you not, right?
But for a guy who says he started from the bottom, is Forest Hill the bottom?
Okay, he didn't start from the bottom. He did. Well, I can agree with you there. He didn't start from any bottom. Okay, he was like middle class and worked his way up.
I would say upper middle class. But okay, so let's almost a year ago to the day, you know, a week later, Kawhi Leonard shot. Where were you? And what was your reaction when that shot bounced? Oh. Was that 4 times? Okay. Bounced in.
Well, I was actually home and I was watching the game on my laptop, and it was lagging a bit, right? So I wasn't watching it exactly live because it was a little bit behind. It was slow. And my brother had his friends over, and they're watching it on like my television in my main floor. And everybody just starts going crazy. And I'm just sitting there watching on my laptop, like, what happened? And then finally it caught up. Oh my God. I was just so in shock that it even, just the dramatic fashion of how it happened, like bounds, like it was just, oh my goodness. Like just for it to go in that way just made it all the more amazing.
So when they, well, that was Philadelphia, but when they beat Milwaukee and then took on Golden State, was it like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, they're not going to win. It's Golden State and everything like that." What did you think?
To be completely honest, I was actually nervous of them facing. I was more nervous when they had to face Milwaukee than when they faced Golden State after, because they were never able in the regular season to really get to really beat Milwaukee, and I felt like they always had a challenge up against them. And I really liked Milwaukee. I'm a huge fan of Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he's a fantastic player, and I just thought them beating, and then when they were down in the series, I thought, okay, that's it. I don't think they're going to get past. But Kawhi came through and he did what he did in that series and the entire playoff series. So it was really impressive of how well the whole team played together in that series. And then in Golden State, once they played Golden State, I had a lot more faith in them after they beat Milwaukee. Like I
So
knew they were going to win it.
you mentioned the Greek Freak, and you know where I'm going here, okay?
What?
The Greek Freak doesn't look good in green. He doesn't.
He would look better in red. He would look better in red.
Red and black, actually.
Right?
Yeah. So do you think that's going to happen?
You know what? I think depending on how, if this NBA season does come back, I think depending on how Milwaukee does going forward, because he's always said he just wants to win in Milwaukee, and if they do, he'll stay. But if he doesn't see, I think, a future with them and them kind of progressing in a better way, I think he'll leave. But I don't know if he'd want to come to Canada. I feel like a lot of these superstars just don't want to cross the border and live here in Canada or
And
stay
why is
here.
that? And why is
Honestly,
that?
I don't know. Some of them I think just don't like the cold. Like I think Kawhi just hated the cold, to be completely honest with you. But I don't know, something about, I guess, just the hassle of crossing the border and I guess bringing their family. I really couldn't tell you, because Canada's a great place. Toronto's an awesome place to live. So I don't get it.
Amen. Amen. But
Exactly.
and we're champions. Come on. We're champions.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So yeah.
all right. So speaking about if this season starts or whatever, what's what's your goal? What if I gave you said, okay, NBA's back? How would you? Perfect segue. How would you direct the NBA new season or restart season or whatever?
Honestly, I like the way that if they were to come back, I kind of like the way that the NHL handled it with the play-in
Yeah.
situation, the 2014 format. I think that would be fair if they could do something like that with the NBA, just because of the teams that are so close to a playoff position that if we were to resume the regular season, like they could possibly get a spot. Like even what Damian Lillard was saying, like he was upset because he would sit out if they would play for nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be fair to do some sort of play-in tournament just to make it fair, I think, for all of those teams who are so close to a spot that if they were to resume the season, they could possibly get there. So I would do something like what the NHL is doing.
All right. So we mentioned we are the champions. Sorry, I'm going to
Hmm.
throw it in there from Toronto and all that.
It's okay. That should always be thrown into every conversation.
That is okay. So are we still going to be the champion come? I can't believe. Usually we say June, but let's say October.
Are we still going to be the champion? I hope so. I do think they have a chance this year, but with the way, if they get to the finals, with the way the Clippers and the Lakers are playing, I don't know if they could beat one of them if they make
Well,
it to
let's say
that
if the
spot.
Clippers play the Lakers, don't you feel it's an advantage for the unless they play Milwaukee, but don't you feel it's an advantage for the East because these guys are really going to beat up each other, like really beat up each other.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Though it's going to be a lot of wear and tear for those two teams. If it were to come down to Clippers and Lakers, though, I think, and I hate to say this because I really like Kawhi. Like I love Kawhi Leonard. I think the Lakers might take over the Clippers and beat them.
So do
So,
you like
but
Kawhi or do you hate LeBron?
no, I love both players. Here's the thing: I love both players. I think they're both outstanding players. I do like Kawhi a lot better than LeBron, but I do think that the Lakers could beat the Clippers.
Is that a Toronto bias? Like, LeBron, Kawhi won us the title. LeBron has destroyed us year after year.
Slightly, like I've always liked LeBron because I always just thought he was like a really good athlete, and he seems like a pretty decent guy off the court, right? But Kawhi, I like the way he handles his game, kind of like he knows he's good, but he doesn't shove it in your face type I'm good, you know what I mean? And I liked his demeanor off the court, and I like the way he plays the game. So I think that's just why I think he has the edge over LeBron for me. And the
So
Toronto biased.
yeah, Toronto bias. But let's go. The Last Dance just occurred.
Hmm.
So if you would do another Last Dance or whatever you want to call it, would it be Kawhi or LeBron?
Oh, Kawhi, 100% Kawhi. I just want to know more of what he's like as a person, because you don't see much of him, right? With LeBron, he kind of already shows his life more than Kawhi does. So I would definitely go for Kawhi first.
Okay, so you're a little bit younger than me, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
ask who's the GOAT? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it LeBron? Is it Magic Johnson? Is it Kareem? Who for you, in your eyes, who is the GOAT?
Well, for me, it would definitely be between LeBron and Jordan, because those are the two. I didn't see much of Jordan because I was born '98, so I really didn't see much of Jordan play. But from what I've seen, um, even in the Last Dance, that whole thing, and just stuff I've gathered from him throughout the years, I would say him, just because of his mentality and the way he plays the game. Like he literally pushes himself and will do anything to win. And LeBron will too, but I think Michael Jordan, his competitiveness just has the edge over LeBron. They're both very skilled players, but I think LeBron may be a better player all around, but I have to give it to MJ. He's just off on his competitiveness, just gets it for me.
So everybody's talking about MJ being number one or LeBron being number one. If I go the other way and ask you who's number two, and I'm putting Kobe into this, right? Kobe, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, or whatever. Because let's face it, okay, you're watching LeBron, and in this era, probably LeBron in this era, like you said, '98. I still can't believe, like 22 years old. But anyways, uh, it's probably Michael Jordan or LeBron, because '98 Jordan was sort of phasing out, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, but in this era, it's LeBron. But if I say who's number two, LeBron, Kobe, whoever, Steve Nash, who would you say is number two?
And again, just going based off the stuff that I've seen and what
Yeah.
I've more or less witnessed, I would have to say MJ first, LeBron second, and then I'm going Kobe.
And if Kobe, do you think Kobe gets its due like LeBron and Michael?
I don't think so, because I've seen a lot of lists that have been put out of like people's top tens and such, like all time lists, and he's a lot of times like put even towards the bottom. And I find his stats maybe don't compare to MJ and LeBron, but I think he was such an amazing player all around. And he was so skilled in what he did. And I think people maybe didn't recognize that as much as like LeBron and Jordan, just because their stats, they're right in your face. Like you see them, that's part of like what makes them great, right? And don't get me wrong, Kobe had great stats, but I think just because of that, like they're not as high as those two. I think maybe the comparison is a little bit different, but he's a really skilled player. His power to win, like his will, is just amazing. So I would go number three for him for that reason. And
Okay.
you're in a way he doesn't really, I think, get his due as much as those guys.
So on that vein, right? And we talked about the Greek Freak, but and LeBron is sort of like Michael Jordan winding down right now, right? So
Hmm.
who's the next one? Is it the Greek Freak, or is it, we hear about the Greek Freak, and when he goes through the lane, you can't touch him, right?
No.
Or somebody's scared to touch him or whatever because you're gonna foul him. But let's take the Greek Freak aside a little bit. After the Greek Freak, there's probably 10 guys. After Greek Freak, who would you say, okay, who would you say is number two? If Greek Freak's number one, who would you say is number two now?
Well, coming up like after, I guess,
Yeah.
LeBron, once he starts, definitely Greek Freak's up there. I would definitely, of course, put Kawhi, like I was talking before. I think he resembles a lot of qualities of Michael Jordan, so I would definitely put him up there for that reason. And I get even, I mean, if we're talking even rookies, like who I see is up next, Zion. And that's such an easy answer because, we've seen him in it, and this year he was hurt for the most part, but in his college year he was amazing. And the thing is with him, his main problem is his knee and his injuries. But if he can get that in check, I think that guy like that, there's no ceiling for him. Like I think he can do amazing things.
So would you say he's better right now than RJ? And RJ's Canadian, you know what I'm saying?
I
But
know.
he's playing in the New York, and you know
That's
what I
the thing. RJ, the problem is he's playing in New York, right? And
But
there's
that could
so
be a plus and minus because, like they say, if you make it in New York, you make it anywhere, right?
yeah, that's true. It could be a plus and minus, but I feel like people don't really look at New York anymore. I think as much because it's just like they're not doing anything to look at, you know. So I feel like for him to really get noticed, he has to do incredible, like put up numbers, right? But I do think Zion is a little bit better than him. Zion jumps, he's fast, he can shoot. Oh my gosh, he's a great player.
So, okay, so let's get back. We got about 10 minutes with Victoria Femia from CSM here. Pleasure, who's joining us. Her dog's going crazy there.
Oh, you
So,
hear him?
yeah. So let's talk about, let's say 1 to 16 format, or let's say 1 to 32. They have 16 in the West, 16 in the East, okay? Or you know what I mean, but let's say that. Because the whole thing is Lakers would then play Golden State. Golden State is technically, when it went down March 11th, March 12th, the worst team in the league. But now, if the Lakers play Golden State, who's your money on?
The Lakers.
I mean, truly, with
Unless Klay Thompson can make some sort of miraculous recovery and come back, it's definitely the
news
Lakers.
appearing, Steph and Klay are coming back to play for Golden State. That's the news coming out today, saying they're practicing together already. They went to Steph Curry's house and everything like that. That's the surprise, and they're wanting to play the Lakers. So once again, with Steph and Klay, and I wish it was KD there still, but Steph and Klay, as healthy as they were ever, playing the Lakers, can the Lakers lose out in the first round?
I feel like that would be LeBron's nightmare, to be doing as well as he is, just to play Klay and Steph and then lose. Oh my gosh, that's because you know what? The thing is, Klay and Steph, they haven't played together all season, but they played together for so long. So it's not like you can say, well, you know, how they're going to work on the court. It's like they played together for so they know.
And Draymond
right?
Green there also, right?
Right. So it's almost like the dream team back.
Yeah.
Geez, you know what?
Sorry,
I'm gonna say Golden State. You know what? I'm gonna say Golden State because I would love to see that happen. I don't know. Like, I love LeBron. I wouldn't want to see him hurt like that, but I would love to see it happen, just to be the best upset, I think.
And do you really call that an upset then? Because it's Golden State back, well, except with KD, back healthy.
I guess it would be an upset in a matter of like rankings and the standings, because Golden State's so low and Lakers are so high. But I guess it wouldn't be an upset because realistically the talents kind of match up. You know, you got Klay, you got Steph, Draymond, and then Anthony Davis and LeBron. You know, so it wouldn't really be an upset because those are two powerhouses of a team, right?
I think if they are healthy, I think they could. It's funny to say, but Golden State can go far.
Yeah, it's funny. If they were all healthy, they could just shoot up the rankings like nothing. It's crazy.
It's far. Okay, so in the East, because we got like 5 minutes left, in the East, do we all want to see, again, Milwaukee Raptors, or are we more interested in seeing the Raptors versus the 76ers?
You know, I didn't really like the way the 76ers were playing this year. I feel like they were not as good as I think people expected them to be. But so I think it'd be easier for them to beat the 76ers. So that would be great for us because, you know, they get through. But I would love to see a Raptors Milwaukee matchup again. I think that was so fun to watch and so great to watch. But I don't know if they would be able to pull it off like they did last year with Kawhi. I don't know.
And forget about pulling it off or whatever, but that atmosphere in Toronto was amazing. Let's face it, it's not going to be in Toronto. It's going to be at Walt Disney World.
And with no fans.
Yeah, with no fans in Walt Disney World. At least they should go to Las Vegas because Summer League's playing there. But what are your thoughts, Orlando or Las Vegas?
I feel like it'd be easier for them to do Orlando just because they can get some sort of private kind of area for them, and it would be easier just keep everyone there. So I would probably go with Orlando for them.
All right, so let's turn our attention to the NHL. Who's your team in the NHL?
Of course, the Leafs. Of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Unfortunately, this season they didn't prove me right, but the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So you were born in 1998. Do you remember? Yes. Do you know when the last time the Leafs won the Stanley Cup?
It was too long ago. It was way too long.
22 years later, or 21 years before you were born.
Oh my gosh.
Almost as old as you're born. Okay, so
oh my gosh.
or actually 30. They're more
Yeah.
away from it. So do you think with the 2014 playoff and all that, how far do you think the Leafs can go?
I think they can definitely get by in the play-in round against Columbus. I think they can make it past them. But then they'll have to face Boston again in the first round. Am I right?
Well, they have to play in one versus, it could be Boston, could be Tampa, could be Washington, could be Philadelphia. You don't know how that play between the top four seeds
Mm-hmm.
happens, right? But let's face it, if they lose in the play-in round, okay, does that bother Leaf fans?
Oh
Because
yeah.
we've gone without hockey, without anything, and let alone the Stanley Cup for like 60 years.
I think if they lose this play-in round against Columbus, they get they have to restructure the entire Leafs team because they're so inconsistent and it's horrible.
What
So
would you do then? Okay, so let's say they lose to Columbus. What would you do? You're the general manager or you're the director. Sorry.
honestly, the thing is, like on paper, there should be a good team. They got the players to make a good team, and it's just that's why I wouldn't even know what to change because they're good players, they're talented. It's just they're not working together. It's just not meshing well, and they're very inconsistent, and something's wrong. And I just don't know exactly what to change. Like, what would you even move or add, right?
When you say something's wrong, can you pinpoint what is wrong?
Well, their defense hasn't been very well. They had issues with goaltending for quite some time. And like I said, inconsistency. And they got rid of coaching. They changed their coaching, and that still hasn't, I guess, worked, if you would say.
What makes you a Leaf fan?
Just because I live in Toronto and I've grown up watching them.
And that's why, like, because obviously Raptor fan, but some people who live in Toronto are Boston fans, are Pittsburgh fans, or whatever. But you have a passion for Toronto, correct?
Yeah, like for me, I go by, I support my home city, so I gotta support it.
All right. So when you look at the Leafs, and we joke around 1967 Raptors, took them 24 years to win a championship,
Mm-hmm.
times three already for Maple Leafs. Okay. So when you look at the Maple Leafs, I know it sounds like you like basketball more, and second, let's say, is hockey, but usually it's turned around, hockey first to basketball. But when you look at the Maple Leafs, are you tired of supporting them? They're losers. Like, I love the Maple Leafs, right? But let's face it, every year, and here's a lesson, and you could ask your teachers and all that. Every year when I'm in the media and doing the interviews with the Maple Leafs, every team I could go to a crappy team and say, what's your goal this year? Our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. Our goal is to win the Larry OB. Our goal is to, but the Maple Leafs, our goal is to make the playoffs. Their mentality is always wrong. Buffalo, our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. Chicago, our goal is to win the Stanley Cup. These guys, you know why? Because they care about the money. They build hotels. They got restaurants. You paying for jerseys. I don't, but you do. All right. So where's the mentality? How can we fix the mentality as a youngster who's a Maple Leaf fan?
I think that is their problem too. Like you were saying, it's like they want to do like the bare minimum almost just to try see what they can do in the playoffs once they get there. And as a Leafs fan, I know some hardcore Leafs fans, and I know they're almost so tired of just every year is like the same thing. It's like there's so much hype in the beginning of the season for the Leafs, and people always think, yes, this is going to be their season. This is it. And then midway through, it's like, this isn't going to be their season. What was I thinking? It's just always the same thing with the Leafs. And that's why, like I was saying, like something's just got to change. Something's got to give because it's not, whatever they're doing just is not working right now.
All right. So part one of BarnBurner Live has come to a conclusion with CSN's Victoria Femia. Victoria, tell everybody how they get a hold of you.
Oh, my Instagram, my Twitter?
Yeah, social media wise.
You can follow me at Vic Femia, VICKFEMIA, and my Twitter at Victoria Femia. And that's
And
it.
here at 8:30, we're going to be joined by another classmate, Regan Subban. If you have any questions for Regan, I'll ask her.
I want to know who she thinks is going to win the Stanley Cup because she's really into hockey. That's it.
She's going to say Montreal if that name is the same. It can't be Nashville or New Jersey. New Jersey's not even in it. But thanks a lot, and you could check out Victoria and the CSM class here on the BarnBurner TV Network, channel 251. Thanks a lot, Victoria.